Got a very special guest today. Matt Lauer and Chris Maloney is in the studio this morning.
All at the same time?
Yeah, you're like, you're unbelievable.
Okay.
Got a monster show for you here on the Tony Kurre Radio Network, also known as KCast Radio. It's Kurre and Klapow. We'll be live here on Facebook Live on the Tony Kurre page till about 9:30. Some people say, well, why isn't it on the Tony Kurre Radio page? Well, it really is. It's one of the same. It's me. I'm not Chris Maloney, and I'm not Matt Lauer, and I'm not Dr. Josh Klapow. See, you look nothing like Matt Lauer. Your hair and your facial features do, but it's all in the eyes. We know it's the eyes, right?
Okay. That's a good thing though now.
Yeah, but you look more like Chris Maloney, which I just tweeted out.
He's
you
on
look
Men's
more
Health.
like him. Yes, I mean they're both good-looking guys.
Yeah.
I mean they're both television stars, so that's a compliment.
Thank you.
I get two. Ty Pennington.
Yeah, except you're. Yes.
Move that boss. I get
yes.
that a lot. It's an eye thing. I'm not that good looking. I'm not as good looking.
Well, and you're taller.
And I'm a little loud.
He's actually.
When I had that go to.
Do you know he passed away? He's dead.
No.
I'm pretty sure.
No.
Yes.
I know he's doing a Caesars commercial. I saw it last night.
I think he's dead.
He's not dead.
I think he's dead.
He's still doing something on the home network. Where they're building homes. Yes, move that.
One of them's
unless they're running his commercials while he's dead. He's doing a Caesars commercial. He's like, hello, betters! Get the Caesars app. I mean, he's totally sledded himself out.
Okay.
But he's still alive.
I thought he was
and
dead.
the other one is, and I was in, it may have been when I first got here. Someone pulled up beside me at a stoplight, and they were freaking out. And I just started doing radio here, and they thought I was Julian Lennon. And I was like,
yeah.
He's like, are you Julian Lennon? And it was an older guy that kind of knew his stuff. I said, no. And he goes, you're Julian Lennon. I said, no. And he goes, what are you doing in Birmingham? I said, maybe I'm in the wrong Birmingham. I thought I was in Birmingham, England. And he goes, no, seriously, what are you doing? You got a show here? And I was like, I'm not Julian Lennon. He's like, no, seriously. And I was sitting in the pastor's house. I said, no, seriously. And he goes, no. And he's looking at his wife and stuff. And so I pulled up some pictures. And if you look at Julian Lennon,
you do.
I'll post pictures of me next to Julian Lennon. If you put the pictures next to Julian Lennon.
You look like a mashup between those two.
Yeah.
You do. The problem they give for you.
Ty Pennington and Julian Lennon.
Yeah, the problem for you is your height kind of gives it away. Because you're so much taller. Well, I don't know, actually.
Well, I was sitting in the car, so they didn't know how tall I was. But I took that as anytime someone says you look like someone famous, that even if it's like Steve Buscemi.
Well, I told you before this started, before the show started, I used to be, when I had hair, Bob Saget.
Yeah, good looking guy.
Yeah,
I don't get the Bob Saget thing at all. I don't.
No, I had hair then. Yeah, I had the Matt Lauer thing for a long time.
You look at the pictures I just posted at KCast on Tony Kurre Radio on Twitter, and I could see the similarities. When I saw the Men's Fitness magazine, I was like, "That's you." And
thank you.
I see you every day, so I know.
Well, thank you. This all came about because our friends at Fox posted a video that I do in partnership with them, and somebody commented. I thought that was Matt Lauer. Which would be great for, actually it wouldn't be great for Fox. Never mind. Let's move on.
You don't want to be known as Matt Lauer.
Not right now. Well,
it seems like he's doing okay. He's got money and
he went super away.
Yeah, he did, which is good.
Yeah, I mean,
It's amazing, though, because, he was he reminds me a little bit of Brian Williams. He was so trusted. We went to bed with him every night. We saw him every night after dinner.
Yes.
Or in the morning, and then he's just gone.
Well, and that's the thing. Those are the ones that are the ones that are the worst are when you don't know them as a celebrity, and you hear the bombshell, and you go, "You're kidding! I would have never thought." Now, then the story comes out, and there's bits and pieces. But yeah, our experience of him, those of us who didn't know him at all, was like, "You're kidding!" But it's. We won't go there. The patriarchy. Men are pigs. I mean, we've talked about it's hubris. It's power.
Yeah.
It's power combined with a lack of a moral compass, combined with a lack of ego strength. And I still think the same thing. I always want to know, and I understand it happens in the industry. I understand it happens in any powerful industry, and I see it in business all the time. The people that are around them, they can't surround themselves with people that will shut them down, because even if they bring in those people, I need
shut
you.
Shut them down how? You mean
stop them from something. Even if they bring those people in, I need you to make sure that I stay on track.
Yeah.
the problem is that it works for a while, and the people who are brought in to sort of keep them on track kind of have two choices. One, lose your job, right? But I actually think that's not the issue, because I think a lot of those people will step down. We see that in presidencies all the time. That's compromising. I'm going to step down. Then the problem is you don't even bring in another person. And the worse this person gets, the more people you got stepping down until you've got one person who's supposed to be there to be their reality check, and then they become a yes person, and the whole thing's over.
I think that's what a lot of wannabe influencers and reality celebrity people fight with, in that if you put enough promotion and enough money behind anybody,
that's right,
you can make them successful.
Of course.
Matt Lauer went to this beloved journalist, great interviewer guy, to just like a nobody. Brian Williams was the same way. Lester Holt was a field reporter before he went to NBC, and now he's the most trusted man in news. And I can make it. They did it with me.
Yes.
I mean, I came in.
Well,
I'm a 22-year-old snot-nosed radio guy having a good time. I mean, I consider myself good at what I did, and I did whatever was asked, and I would go up and above, beyond whatever they asked me to do, and I wanted to be crazy. I'd do anything for ratings, and I know I stepped on some toes doing that. But they sent me to Grammys. They put me in a position to succeed, and radio and television is not like that anymore.
It's harder now. It's so much harder now because of social media. You and I have talked about this. If you think about it, before, the barriers to fame before social media were so much greater, because you had to get on television, or you had to get on radio, or you had to be in a movie, or maybe a newspaper. That was it. That was the only way that you could do it. And if you did that, I mean, unless you were an anchor, you weren't in people's faces frequently. So if you think about social media, I've said this a million times, everybody gets to be a celebrity. Everybody has that shot now.
We always, it used to be that you had to be pretty good or crafty at whatever you're doing, and then your content sold, and then people enjoyed your show, and then it would grow. If. Yeah, and then if you had somebody behind you that had some money, like a great radio station or television company or whatever, and they started promoting you, then you had something really, really special. And now we're seeing that you could be the best at whatever you do if you're on television or radio, and you're just kind of stuck, because unless someone's promoting you, and we're seeing that here on the network here, that when you have money to promote whatever, if you've got money, you can be famous. You can be
more so now. More so now, because there's more there's more outlets, and you don't even have to be. There's no barrier. So if you think about it, you throw enough money behind anything of social media presence. Well, let me say this. But one thing that's still there is you can be famous, but as you say, content is still king. Like you can hold your money behind it and keep it going, but if you're not resonating with people in some way, you can stay out there.
But now there are so many smaller groups.
Yes, you're right.
I'll use the Facebook group.
Yeah, that's a great example.
I'm telling you, man, if you wanted to put together, Basset Hound loving widows who are funny and put a group out, you'd have 100,000 followers, because people want to join groups. They want to say, that's me, or I'm like that. And next thing you know, and so, whereas we were more of a general pleasers, now we're more faction into our own little groups.
It's hyper-targeting, hyper-personalization.
It is, and that happens with marketing. It happens with everything.
Well, the good news about it is, remember, who's our producer friend? Dave Hammonds? Yeah, remember he was talking about how do you become famous in the music industry? I'm not famous, sorry. How do you become successful? And his point was, you don't have to be discovered now by a giant label to be successful. And when he said successful, he meant earn a living.
It was certainly a lot easier back in those days.
Yeah, but what he's saying is now you can earn a good living doing your own gig.
I remember record labels coming into the radio station, and they would say, hey, listen, we have this show and this show and this show, and if you want us to give you front row tickets or great VIP experiences, that's great, but you need to play this new song from this band called Cutting Crew. I'm going, okay.
No way. Did you play Cutting on classic rock?
Oh, yeah.
Did you play Uh-huh?
No, no, I didn't play Aha. But I mean, there would be these bands. That
Yeah.
and of course, they would sell you on, it's great.
Yeah.
It's going to be super. We're going to get behind this band. This is the next Beatles, blah, blah, blah. And so we get on the air, and my boss would come to me and, hey, man, sell the hell out of this, man.
Right.
Sell the hell
'Cause
out.
it's money.
I didn't know about the backside of the story, but
Yeah.
I found out later. Sell it. It's great. And it's in most cases, it was a great song. And then, of course, they'd sign the big deal with the record label. They demand 5 albums in 5 years. Never heard another thing from Kaja Gugu or the Cutting Crew or Aha or any of those bands. And in some cases, like you said, content's king. If you were really, really good and you continue to make those records, you continue to grow. But when you had the whole label behind you saying, okay, this is the
That's
next
right.
thing. And it's a lot like, it's got a lot of American Idol behind it.
Yeah, well, yeah,
You know,
it's a
you
great
get behind the
example.
Taylor Hicks, and then okay, you're out there, man. It's all you now.
Yeah.
Now you're on your own.
Yes.
You know, and
Well, and in some, and I think American Idol is a great example.
Yeah.
You put enough behind it. Mm-hmm. You're going to punch out. You know, people are going to have their. It's not 7 minutes of fame. In this case, a season of fame, and some of them will go on to be huge stars.
Yeah.
Jennifer Hudson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh crap. Kelly
Clarkson.
Sorry. Oh. Why am I sorry? I'm doing this. Country. Now I'm forgetting.
I don't know. There've been so many of them.
No, they're huge.
And you can make an argument that the ones that didn't win, and Taylor Hicks obviously has done real well, but the ones that didn't win are doing just as well. As
That sounds terrible. I mean, Jesus, take the wheel.
I don't know.
Come on, who's?
I've stopped watching at the Taylor Hicks.
No, Jesus, take the wheel. She's one of the biggest. Okay, crap. It's bad radio.
Speaking of celebrities, Norm Macdonald.
He's dead.
He is. There was nothing normal about him. He died at the age of 61. He had a 9-year battle with cancer. Some of the people that have reached out and talked about him, he was so beloved in the industry as a comedian. And I talked about this before we started the show today, that the loss of life of comedians is so weird because we want to think we know these celebrities, and we always think that funny people or people that entertain us are always funny.
Right.
I played golf with a lot of celebrities: Ron White, Rodney Carrington, Norm Macdonald, Paul Reiser came and did my show several times before he started Mad About You. We always had those moments where they'd come in the studio and we go, "Is there anything you want us to set you up with?"
And you hear y'all were very transparent. Like,
yeah. And of course, when you say you have Louis Anderson, whoever on your show, people expect to laugh. They're like, "Oh, I love Sam Kinison," or "I love
exactly
Jerry Seinfeld," or whoever. It's going to be funny. And so if you'd say, "Set me up," and they'd say, "No, I'm good," that meant they were either going to take it and run with it.
Yes.
Or they weren't going to be necessarily funny. Then, of course, you put the radio aspect of it where we're trying to push it along, but then there's always a radio person that thinks they're funnier than the comedian and ruins the whole thing. And it would be really uncomfortable. Some of the most interesting conversations we've had with comedians is where they're not funny at all.
Yeah.
And I know people don't like that because when you say you have Norm Macdonald coming up on your show, you're expecting him to
That's right.
and do his shtick. And so sometimes it was kind of like, and you try to find that funny in between where you could actually talk about some topics and they go off and be funny. And they were, but again, it was 6:30 in the morning, and most comedians aren't morning people. But I've been around enough comedians, and I reached out, or I wanted to reach out to Bruce Ayers and talk to him about it because he's been in the mix of it more so than any person I know on the face of this earth because he runs the Comedy Club Stardom. Funny people have this inordinate, wonderful gift of being funny on demand, and they have a gift to do it. You can't teach funny. You just can't. Mm-hmm. I've seen 3 or 4 of my good friends say they want to be comedians, and they've taken classes and they've taken acting and they try to get their setting down and their timing and all that stuff. And again, it just doesn't happen. And then you see people. It's like people who just pick up the guitar and start to play.
That's right.
There's some people that can just get up there, and normally it is surrounded by tragedy in their lives. Mm-hmm. Comedians are great at taking really, really sad situations and turning them into funny things. And Norm Macdonald was certainly one of those guys. And I remember him on Saturday Night Live, and one of the reasons he got fired was because of all the jokes he did about O.J. Simpson, and O.J. Simpson was a friend of one of the producers from the show, and so there was this weird, okay, stop with the O.J. Simpson stuff, but the fans loved it. He kept talking about him being a murderer, and so he got thrown off the show. But again, you go out with these people, and I played golf with them, and I've had dinner with them after shows and stuff, and it's not that you want to be entertained because they're not on stage. It'd be like me going out and having dinner with Damon Johnson and going, hey, break out your guitar in the middle of salad. Like, dude, I'm not working. You know, but he is so encrusted and enthralled in the classic rock. You'd have a conversation with him.
Right.
It's also highly competitive.
Yeah.
Because every comedian, they're up there applauding for the opening act, but it's the opening act.
That's right.
Because
well,
you're opening for me.
It's no different. Right? It's no different than music.
But everyone, and no one wants to follow someone that just killed it.
Of course not.
Like, okay, but that's why you have opening acts. You hope that the opening act is pretty funny. The next guy is really funny, and then you.
Well, you've talked about that in music all the time.
Yeah, you don't want to have.
Who was it? You told that story.
Def Leppard, Billy Squier.
That was it. Yeah,
it was one of the first shows I saw at Dayton Flyer Arena. More people were there for Def Leppard than they were for Billy Squier, and Billy Squier was a headliner. And he even came out and said, "Holy shit, man. That man just got after it."
You know what?
You could tell he was like, and part of the crowd left because they were there just to see Def Leppard. It doesn't happen a lot. It was one of those situations where they got on the tour, they got the tour ticket,
and they had enough of a fall.
Exploded, Hootie and the Blowfish. They played the 5 Points Music Hall after they had already sold 4 million albums. It was part of the contract. They did it. I saw Buck Cherry open up for Bob Seger several years back, and we had a bone box down at the BJCC, and that's when Buck Cherry just exploded.
Right.
And they certainly brought a much different crowd.
I was
than
just
a Bob
that's
Seger
an
crowd.
Interesting.
It was. They were on the same label.
Oh, is that why?
Buck Cherry was coming up. Bob's like, let's do it, and so it was kind of strange. You had your Buck Cherry fans, and you had your Bob Seger fans who were.
That's
really
a weird.
Yeah.
That's a very strange combination.
It was.
You rarely see that.
Anyway, comedians, a lot of comedians, Howie Mandel, Sam Kinison, Bobcat Goldthwait, they all have this vernacular gait of this weird thing that they do.
Who's the most normal? I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. That sounds bad from the psychologist.
No, there's a lot of
Norm
Jim Gaffigan. They all use this thing where they change their voices a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it's method, right?
It is, and they're not like that in real life when you're talking to them. Jim Gaffigan, oh, look at that. You don't see it. But it's an act and it's entertainment. But again, we expect people just to be funny, comedians to be funny. Well, he's a funny guy, so I'm sure that he's going to throw some zingers out during the day. And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But for the most part, I think most comedians know that they're funny. They don't always have to be on.
Right.
I can only think of one situation where I went out with a comedian that was like so far beyond not funny. And then he got on stage and it was like, okay, I can't believe the stories this guy just told me, and now he's on stage killing it. I mean, it was just like it was the big difference between a job and my real life. And it was like,
was his real life sort of deep, morbid, and tragic? Well, see, that makes sense.
And
that would make sense.
Maybe it was therapeutic for him.
It's an escape. I mean, think about think about many athletes.
Yeah.
Right? Think about many actors. Think about many musicians. You just what you said. It's my escape.
Yeah.
Is where I get to turn into somebody else. I get to be somebody else. See, I mean, you see that.
Be really good at it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Anyway, he was fantastic. I would say that he is maybe just because of the way his demeanor was and the way that he had this Bob Newhart.
I was just gonna say
the way he spoke was funny.
Well, and he was a not funny guy.
Yeah, there's
right.
There's not a lot of guys, and the old joke is you could read the dictionary and make it funny. He was one of the few guys that could read a dictionary and make it funny and never say anything.
I think it's real interesting when you watch these guys and gals, the crossover when they start doing movies or television, and they have those characters that it starts off as they're the funny person in the movie or the television show. Mm-hmm. Then they become the, caring, witty, sometimes funny and slightly sometimes not. It's almost like a slight. I keep thinking Robin Williams was such a great example. He started off all comedian, Mork and Mindy and stuff. And then Mrs. Doubtfire, right? Absolutely hysterical, but these moments of vulnerability, of not funny. Oh, yeah. And then you sort of watched his career.
Awakenings.
That's exact. That's
Patch Adams. I mean,
but you know what I mean. And that's to me that's an interesting. It's an interesting transition where you are breaking the mold of how people know you. Mm-hmm. And again, we have it. It's in every area. Think about music. We talk about it all the time. We talk about the Miley Cyrus, right? Yeah. We've gone to Hannah Montana to this. Darius Rucker went from Taylor Swift. Right, country stars.
Yeah, but they're still music.
Yeah. But it's well.
It's an evolution
but comedians are still performers.
They're
still performers. It's just changing.
They are, but I mean, it's rare to have one that stays relevant as long as someone like Norm Macdonald did. Now he was doing podcasts and stuff, and I thought his television show was great. It only ran for 3 years. I think it was on ABC, for every one of those, you got a guy like Jim Carrey, who was as big as
Jimmy Carrey. That's a great example.
Tragedy in his life, and what happened, man? I mean, he was coming out with a movie every other year, and they were killing it. And you're like, okay, and I mean, he was.
Well, he's a great crossover, right? He's one who's done tons of funny movies, but then has had the more human character. But I think the other thing is, like any job, different people reach a peak where there are a point where, okay, I'm done for whatever reason, tragic reason, tired. I feel like I've achieved everything I want. And then you see people who come back. Yeah. I mean, musicians. It's so interesting because we look at these people as so different than us, but you can see the common threads to our lives. We talk about their celebrity, they live in a fantasy. No, it's different, but the threads are the same. Fears, insecurities, hopes and dreams, dedication, persistence, rejection, relationships, burnout, right? Tragedy. Yep. And the only difference is they're navigating it, and we get to see parts of it. We don't see all of it, but we get to see parts of it. Yeah. The Tony Curry story. We could do a whole movie like that.
Well, and that's one of those things where it's, if you ask women, what's the most enduring quality of man? His sense of humor. People love a sense of humor. They love
a sense of humor. You don't have to be a funny person.
No, but if you have a sense of humor, you're considered a funny person. Women love that sense of humor, and it's very endearing to a lot of people because you're the fun guy.
Well, you make a good point. You don't have to be the fun person. You have to have a sense of humor, right? Because that's different. You don't have to be the one who's out partying or doing crazy things, but that ability to make people laugh in the course of normal interaction, right? Stand-up is different because
it's very endearing because good comedians can do two things. First of all, they can find humor and even tragedy, and some people don't like that. The other thing is they're very good at self-deprecating.
Yes,
they're very, very good at making themselves look bad for sake of a laugh on everyone else, and that is something that is very attractive. I mean, because we feel like we're one of them.
Well, the other thing that they're very good at, or they can be, because it speaks to what they're trying to do, is paying attention. They're paying attention to the interactions between people. Like that. This is one of the things. Like you watch anybody who is really good in sales, any sort of people interaction, in particular communities. They're watching. They're watching for. What gets people to laugh and what doesn't get people to laugh? What gets people to laugh in all the different ways, the creepy laugh, the whatever. And if you think about it, if they use that same skill set when they're interacting with you, or a person who is funny is doing that, part of the reason they're doing that is, or part of the reason they're funny is that they're not off in their own world. Yeah. They're totally attuned to the conversation, what people are doing, what people are saying, how what they said or did makes, there's a difference between that and the clown who just gets up there and they're in their own world. And people like that irritate the crap out of me. Yeah. Because it's not about who you're connecting with. It's only about you. And that's different because you know what? You're not performing. You're with us.
Yeah. The thing that people need to realize is that, sounds very clear, they're people too.
Well, he had a 9-year, 10-year battle with cancer.
Have you ever seen any of these Comedy Central documentaries or whatever about comedians?
Oh, jeez.
Chris Farley, we can go on and on and on and on and on. They got the same vices, the same creeps, the same skeletons in the closet that we all have. It's just that they're funny.
Well, and
it sucks because we're watching this documentary on something and we're wanting to be entertained, and we're finding out they've been through tragedy, they've been through loss, they've been through divorces, they've been through all these things that mess them up, and yet it's we want to think that it's more than a job, that it's who they are. Well, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just a job.
But they also talk about it a lot, and we see people do this. This is how they cope.
Yeah.
This is how they cope. Again, you think about singer-songwriters. How do they cope? Part of what they do, the outlet is their music. Yeah. I mean, listen, Sigmund Freud talked about this. He talked about the tragedies in our lives and when we have bad things happen and we have impulses in our lives, we kind of you got two choices. One, you take it in a way that's socially appropriate. Two, you bury yourself. So again, a comedian or anybody who maybe was teased as a kid, who wasn't very funny, who was belittled, who was insecure. One way is you go become the class clown, right? Or you become the funny person. Or we've had, in high school, you become the person you find that theatrically you can now play somebody else. That's how you cope with it.
Yep.
The opposite extreme is you become destructive. You get off on the bad track, drugs, all that kind of stuff. How many athletes have said, sports saved my life?
Yeah.
But they all have a choice point. And that's the thing to me that's most interesting.
Jeff Dunham is one of the guys I was pulling up. He's got a documentary that's been running on the Comedy Central for like the last 2 or 3 years. Found out, I guess, before he went on stage, one of the most incredible, highest paid ventriloquists on the face of the earth. Grew up doing dolls like when he was 4 or 5 years old. He's got a house full of these dummies and stuff. It's an amazing story. And it's really funny. But then he went through a really, really messy divorce, and it messed him up. I mean, to the point where he's finding out right before he gets on stage that all these things are happening, and he actually enacted it into his act. To where it was kind of funny, but it was kind of like, wow. In perspective, it was kind of like, wow, I can't believe he fought through this. And then obviously he came out the other side and he's doing real well and remarried and everything else. But yeah, they're normal people. Like Norm Macdonald was pretty much the same way, but he's funny. I was watching Norm Macdonald videos last night for like an hour and a half. He was on Conan O'Brien all the time. He was the last comedian that was on the David Letterman show, Late Night with David Letterman, and he was also the first comedian, I believe, was on his show. And just and again, I could just hear him talk. Just the way he talked. And certainly the Burt Reynolds thing he did on Saturday Night Live on Jeopardy was fantastic. So, thoughts and prayers go out to Norm and the comedy world, dead at the age of 61. Football player for Alabama was asked about one of Nick Saban's favorite quips or lines, and
I so much want to know what's going to happen to him.
I don't think anything's
going
to happen
to him.
I
mean, I hope not. At this point in Nick Saban's career, I think not.
I think, someone may go, hey, listen, dude, what happens in the locker room stays in the locker room.
You really don't want to do it.
We don't talk. Don't answer any questions about Coach Saban ever again. It was really funny because after he said it, and I was on the Jay Barker Radio Network yesterday, and they were talking about, and they asked me, and I hadn't heard the story yet. So I'm like, why are they asking me this question? I said, win your box. He always talks about winning your box. And so then I saw the video, and you could tell the kid, I felt sorry for the kid because I'm thinking, dude, you're going to get hammered. And, of course, people ran with it. Evidently, Nick Saban's into D's nuts jokes, which is really, really funny.
Do you think Coach Saban talked to him afterwards, or one of Coach
No,
Saban's
I
people?
think the
PR people?
Nick Saban doesn't have to talk to his players. The players take care of themselves.
That's so interesting.
That's how that organization works.
That's so interesting to me. That's so interesting to me.
No,
I've always been interested. I've always been fascinated when you kind of move from when you watch the hierarchy of sports as people are transitioning, right? Mm-hmm. When they're kids, they got a coach, right, and maybe there's an assistant coach, and the coach and the assistant coach are talking to kids. Then you get into high school, you still have a coach and an assistant coach, and maybe your head coach is maybe your assistant coach is working with position players or whatever, but you're still interacting in high school with your head coach. Then the leap to college to me is really interesting, particularly in sports like football and basketball, because you go from this kind of, this is my coach and, we're close, to it has this weird sort of corporate feel. Yep. I'm sorry. That's the head coach. No, you don't talk to the head coach. Well, what do you mean he's my coach? I'm a player. Yep. No. You talk to, there's 6, they're like VPs. There's 6 VPs. I've never talked to an athlete that I can think of. I've talked to a couple actually who have said it's super weird, it's super uncomfortable, and it's also a wake up call.
Yep.
Because again, like, think about what Coach Saban. He is football. But can you imagine? Think about it. Can you imagine being on a sport? I don't care how serious it is. And I'm sorry, you can't talk to. What's interesting too about that is, take a Kirby Smart, Dabo Sweeney, Lane Kiffin. Do they run it exactly the same way? I don't mean I don't mean the program, but the approachability, the accessibility.
You want to eventually put the players in a position where they're responsible for what happens on the football field.
Of course, and that's every sport.
A great organization will fix its problems without having to go to the top.
Yeah.
We don't want to have to go to the top of this. We're going to fix this right now.
Why do we not have to want to go to the top of this? That's a great example.
Because that's called accountability.
Okay.
If we're part of a team and you're screwing it up, I'm going to come down on you.
We don't need it to go to the top.
No.
Not that we don't want to.
Then you look like you can't handle it yourself. And there's enough people on that football team that can handle it themselves. I got news for you. If there's a guy in the defense not doing his job, first of all, it's going to go to the defense coordinator. But the players themselves are going to be in his face going, dude, you're screwing up. What the hell is wrong with you, before it even gets to that point? And if you could fix it that way, that's great. It's called accountability, because the rest of the guys don't want to run laps after the game either. So, but with Nick Saban, I mean, he's always had an open door policy. The players will tell you that he's always been super accessible if they need to talk to him. But what's the reason they want to talk to him? Jordan Battle was the one. He's asked by Michael Casagrande, who we've had on the show before, if he's got any favorite Saban sayings, and elected to tell the world that his 2 favorite sayings are touch D's and suck on D's. It's pretty funny stuff. It's great. Have we ever seen Nick Saban do that in public ever? No, I don't.
I mean, the old football hat that he wore, the whole football helmet.
No,
that was the craziest thing I've ever seen him do. Like, seriously, I mean, other than celebrating
but the players will tell you he's just
in public. Yes, yeah, right. That's great, because that's a special relationship with the players. Like, and I also think it's interesting. Particularly Coach Saban, when you have that kind of relationship with your players, and they'll tell you he's a great guy. I mean, don't piss him off, but he's accessible. And then we see him, and I don't know him, you all know him, but we see him out in his pressers and stuff, and he's not accessible.
Yeah.
Right? But I like the fact, it makes me feel better about him as a person, knowing that there are parts in his life where he's very engaged. He's very accessible. Because look, Bill Belichick's a great example. You look at him from the outside. Tom Brady will tell you a different story, but you look at him from the outside and you go like, God,
he's not a tyrant, though. And everyone thinks that, if you play for Alabama, you're not having fun because it's all business. It's all about winning football games. It's not.
That's what's great.
They do have fun.
That's
what's great. They have a hell of a good time. And winning football games is fun. Winning championships is fun.
That's right.
They do have a wonderful time, and they take it to the next level. And they think this is a Stepford wife thing where everyone's got the same answer, and we're just trying to be better, and we're going to take our things, and as long as we're working through the process and winning our boxes and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, I mean, that's how they're taught.
That's called PR training, and they're very good at it.
It's called success.
Yes.
It works.
Right.
So, but to have one player at least kind of go off the Knox a little bit was pretty funny. I said it yesterday. Britney Spears, I'll give her 3 months.
What'd she do? Did she do something already?
I'll tell you after you talk about one of our great sponsors.
Let me tell you about Woodhouse Day Spa, one of our fantastic sponsors, located up on the Summit, 905-7676. Look, we are living in super stressful times, and going to a spa may sound like a luxury thing, and it is, but it's good for your body. It doesn't not just make you feel good mentally and relax. It is literally good for your physiology. So whether you're going in to have a special massage or manicure or pedicure, facial, or you're just spending a couple hours outside of the craziness that we're all experiencing right now, that's what a good resort spa does, and that's what Woodhouse Day Spa does. You can check them out online, birmingham.woodhousespas.com, birmingham.woodhousespas.com, or you can just call them directly and say, look, this is what's happening. My back hurts, my neck hurts, my toes look like crap. What do I do? They'll say, come on in, we'll make a package for you.
I look like Matt Lauer.
I look like Matt Lauer. Can you fix that? No, I'm sorry, we can't. It's birmingham.woodhousespas.com, and it's Woodhouse Day Spa.
All right, so some Britney Spears news.
What happened?
We got a story about the Marlboro Man, and the Rolling Stones are doing something really, really cool when they pick it back up September 26th in St. Louis for the No Filter. The tongue has gone black.
Really?
Yes, they're changing the tongue.
Why?
Charlie Watts died.
Oh, that's right.
Shoot,
Oh, no. I didn't. I wasn't. No, it just. I was thinking. Chew.
The Stones have gone black, and once you go black,
yes,
you never go back. It's going to be interesting to see how long they keep that blood, but all their merchandise, everything is going to be the black tongue.
Because they got enough to do that. Who's playing drums for them? Do we know?
Charlie Jordan, a guy who I think his name's Charlie Jordan, a guy who's been with the band for quite some time.
Okay.
He had the blessings of Charlie when Charlie went through his whatever he had, his procedure before he passed away. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
That's an interest. Oh. I mean, it's terrible, but how fascinating is that? Right? Can you imagine?
And he's a black dude.
Oh, interesting. Mm-hmm. But can you imagine that conversation? I mean, it's one thing to say, look, I'm sick or I broke my leg. We'll get the Damon Johnson. Well, we don't know with Damon Johnson, but it's one thing to say, look, I'm injured. I can't get out there. I need you. Can you fill in? It's another thing to say, I mean, we don't know. I'm sick. I'm dying, or I'm about to have a procedure that I may not come through.
Yep.
If I don't make it, will you do this for me? I mean, we've seen movies written about that.
And they always say, we're looking forward to getting back on the road, looking forward to getting to healthy, but in the meantime, this is going to
Well, that's what I'm saying. On the backside.
At the age of 80, you're like, are you really coming back? I mean, you don't know, but so super cool. So a lot of people are wanting to buy this merchandise because it's going to be one of a kind.
Much money.
It's first of all, it's financially brilliant.
Yes,
because I want one of these shirts. I saw the shirt. It's just a big black tongue.
It's the same. Everything's the same except the tongue is black.
Everything's just the same. It's the black tongue. It's cool, and that tongue is such an iconic part of.
Yes,
I saw a woman. I was up at Milo's the other day. It was right after Charlie Watts passed away, and she had a Rolling Stones. Just the tongue. There's not too many bands that have an icon that just say who they are. I mean, most bands have their name in it. Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, their name is in it. The Rolling Stones are one of a few bands that have a sign that you don't have to say, and it's the Rolling Stones. I mean,
anybody?
I can't think of anyone else.
We could have for us noses.
Prince with the sign.
There
you go.
No,
I didn't know what the hell that was.
Well, that wasn't his whole career.
Yeah.
I mean, that's when he became. You could argue that was.
I mean,
his
I would
name.
know what that is because it'd probably be in purple and you go, okay, that's Prince. But I can't think of any other band that had that iconic
logo. I mean,
it's just a great logo. It'll be black to celebrate, and of course, pay respects to Charlie Watts. I think that's really, really cool. And they'll be back on. And I think that whenever you're losing something like that, whether it be ZZ Top with Dusty Hill or Charlie Watts or anyone else, you realize there will be an end, and so or Gary Ross with Leonard Skinner, and so I think the tour is probably going to absolutely kill. First of all, people have been waiting a year and a half to see them,
right?
And I think it'll absolutely kill. Even if they came out and just played 45 minutes and it sucked, I think people would love it.
What's so different? What's so different about this now? Obviously, tragic deaths in music is part of particularly rock, but they've always been. I mean, deaths are tragic, but they've always been too young. Someone OD'd, someone had cancer, whatever. Do you realize, this is me just kind of riffing on the sociology of this, do you realize what's happening now?
What's that?
Well, now the deaths are not, I mean, they're always tragic, but they're not life-shortening. They're people who are 70 and 80. Mm-hmm. It's, to some degree, it's age-related. I mean, think about rockers who died, classic rockers who died in the past. It's never been about sort of age related. Drug overdose, car accident, tragic death. Well, we're in a time and a generation now where rockers are going to pass because, obviously if they're 70, you wish they lived to 90, but they're at the end of their life.
Yeah.
Have we ever seen that? Oh, I'm totally fascinated by this. Have we ever seen that is there any, I guess
well, in every industry is. Sure. You're always going to have your outliers, the ones that die from drug overdoses, whether it be celebrities or movie stars or rock and rollers or whatever.
I guess
the great thing is that we can sit here and name probably 50 rock and rollers that are 70 plus that are still alive.
But they're still playing. So, the thing about athletes is different in athletes, right? Professional, iconic athletes. Again, Kobe Bryant, tragic because he was nowhere near the end of his life, right?
Yep.
But then I'm sorry, I'm picking. If Bill Russell passes, right? He's 84. Right, so but he hasn't been playing the whole time. So actors, right? Actors are different because Clint Eastwood now, if he passes, when he passes, we will say, unless it was an car accident, we'll say, well, he all the way through.
If somehow you could take the top 100 rock and roll stars of all time, the top 100 celebrity actors and actresses of all time, and the top 100 athletes of all time, and put a list together, which group do you think lives the longest?
Lives the longest.
On average.
Not viable
on
in their
average.
thing.
I'm talking, take the top 100 of all time. Dead or alive now. Take the top 100 of all time of each group. Which group do you think, on average, has the longest life expectancy?
And you said musicians or rockers?
Rockers, musicians, whatever.
Well, there's a difference. No.
I'll bet you musicians live longer. We got the 27 group, right? I don't know how many of those 27 groups would make it on the top 100.
Right.
Janis Joplin would certainly be there. Jim Morrison would certainly
that's true.
be there. Keith Moon would be there.
Right.
Bon Scott. Yeah. But you can make an argument. That'd be really interesting. It'd take a hell of a lot of work to figure out.
Yeah.
But which group of people? Maybe celebrities.
I was just going to say celebrities because you got...
I'm trying to think because I know there's a lot of celebrities.
George, people like George Burns and Milton Berle, they screwed up the.
Yeah, Norm Macdonald would not be on the top.
No, I know, but they mess up the curve because they were acting at age 100.
Yeah, Betty White screwing things up.
Yeah,
but would Betty White be one of the top 100 actors of all time?
No.
That'd be a lot of research. That makes my head hurt.
Yeah, we can't do that. We'll have a research.
Would Britney Spears make the top 100 performers of all time? Right now, if you sat there and said
performers, that's interesting. Yeah,
music, whatever, not stage, just musical performers. Would Britney Spears one of the top 100 of all time?
On the one hand,
There's
say
no way in chance in hell.
No, I know, but from a cultural standpoint, she's too young. She's too young. It's like getting in the Hall of Fame. We talked about it. Relevant in that she really changed. She created the next wave of what sort of Madonna had started, but we don't know. What her trajectory is, and she's too young. And right now, she's got a lot of other things that her other stuff is outweighing.
It's all
her.
Good, right? She's free.
No, I know, but I'm saying
she's perfect.
No, I'm
comparing. She's all good.
Compared to
not
performing,
a worry in the world for Britney Spears right now.
There's a ton of worries. I hope they have a ton of shrinks on that team.
We're going to find out why she had a conservatorship this long. Yesterday,
we're going to find out right now.
She tweeted out, "Don't worry, folks. Just taking a little break from social media to celebrate my engagement.
Yeah.
I'll be back soon." She fell off, deleted her Instagram, which obviously was her biggest thing. She's happy in a great place, a source close to her said. Adding silence can be a powerful thing and a powerful message. What the hell does that mean? You're talking about a woman that was posting nude photos of herself just 3 weeks ago before conservatorship, and she's out there talking about, please help me, blah, blah, blah. And now, all of a sudden, she's off social media.
Sure, because she's happy and she needs her privacy, Tony.
Something ain't right, man. She's hiding something.
No, I don't think so. You think so? I wasn't even going there. I don't think that she's hiding something.
Dr. Josh.
No. I was going the other way. Seriously, I didn't think there was hiding. I thought it was more of
she can keep it open. She just doesn't need to post anything.
No. I thought it was more of a PR move.
Why? She's as big as she's ever been.
Well, yeah, but make it even bigger. But look what we're doing.
But her thing is posting everything. And
that's right. So
transparent. She posts everything.
But don't you see what I'm saying?
People love it.
She went quiet. She went dark for a while.
You can make an argument right now that she's not as relevant as she was 3 weeks ago either, and so she.
Because the conservative is.
It's over. We don't have people standing outside.
Yeah. No.
Courthouse is saying free Britney.
So you think that you think that
she doesn't want people to know what she's up to because she can't control her own emotions. Because she's going to want to post stuff, and I would bet that maybe
that she's pulling it off because or one of her people or her or whatever because she's sort of unstable.
Oh, I think maybe her fiance.
No,
now she's engaged with had a conversation with her.
Okay, now
she's
that's different.
And saying, "Listen,
okay, this is different. That's okay.
We're moving on to different parts of her life. You're free now. Why don't we give the social media stuff a rest a little bit? And if you're doing everything right, why would you need to give it a rest?
No,
why?
I think but that doesn't mean that
she could be posting pictures of her ring or posting pictures with him.
So what? Okay, and I'm not tracking you. What do you think is going on?
Why do you think most people get off social media?
Well, there's two reasons.
Why do they just hang it up?
Well, it depends if you're famous or not. Some people just they're just sick of it and they're tired.
Okay, well, I'm talking famous people.
Famous people, they do it for two reasons. One, they're going silent just because they're burnt out. Mm-hmm. Two, they're doing it. It creates curiosity. I mean, it boosts. Going silent when you're a celebrity creates much more allure. Yeah. And then the other is, I would actually argue if you're doing damage control, you don't go silent.
Yep.
You don't go silent. So what do you think she's doing? Like what? You've lost me. Like she's
something ain't right, man.
It's always not been right. So what not right? That's what I'm saying.
She's taking not right to another level.
Okay. Like what?
Sometimes I think Britney Spears being incredibly transparent and posting pictures of her topless and stuff is what Britney Spears is. It's always a little off. It's a little weird.
Yeah.
I was saying
it's a little campy.
Through the whole conservatorship, I was kind of like, you just need to be quiet right now because people want to think you're okay, and they want to think you're sane and you're right in your brain. And we know you've had some past experiences and some trauma in your life. So just let this pass. And it worked to the extent it worked.
Yeah.
But I mean, people are like, there she goes again, posting these weird pictures and these dance videos and all these things. And again, she's been doing that for years. Now, all of a sudden, to delete her Instagram, which she had 400 million followers.
So what did you, okay, so speculate, because I'm still not following. What do you think's happening, Dr. Curry? I know you're guessing, but what? Give me an example of what you think might be happening.
Well, I don't think that she's. Again, this is just my opinion.
This is Dr. Curry's opinion.
Think she's cognizant enough to know that she's posting stuff that's not necessarily helping her cause.
Okay.
And so someone, and the closest person to her right now is her fiance, who she just got engaged to, which really happened really fast. And
well, she was dating.
If I was her psychologist,
well, she couldn't date him.
If she was dating him.
Well, no. She was dating him, but she wasn't allowed to engage in any in. She couldn't be in his car, and she couldn't marry him.
This is like, say you have a daughter.
I do.
And she's 17 years old. She's been dating this narcissistic asshole for a long period of time. The more you tell her to stay away from her, the more she's creeping outside the bedroom window at 3:00 in the morning. They're sending love letters and they're hooking up and they're doing their things. No, I don't know. And you're like, I better not see you with that guy. Blah 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 blah. Okay, right?
Yep.
And then you set the caveat. Well, when you're 18, you want to move out. You want to go do
whatever you want.
You do whatever the hell you want. Yep. Well, the day she moves out, I'm engaged.
Yep.
I would say from a psychological standpoint, I would go, okay, you got what you want.
Yeah.
You're free to do whatever you want.
Yep.
Slow down.
Yes. Well, and
lay back, look at your landscape. Okay,
but
you got all these things that you said.
Yes.
She's staying in $6,000 hotel rooms in Hawaii a year ago. Don't tell me that she had no access to her money or she couldn't do whatever else she wanted. She's posting. So I'm not saying she wasn't abused or something.
No.
What I'm saying is when all it's like winning the lottery.
Yeah.
Just take a breath, take a deep breath. Think about how you want to do. Make a plan. Have a blueprint. I'm going to invest a little bit here. I want to get that car I always want, but you don't have to go out and buy it that day. Just chill out. You're good to go. You still got your show in Vegas. You're doing those things. Just take it in and realize what you have because it's a lot of responsibility.
Right, and her response would be, if I'm playing Britney Spears, I'm like, are you kidding me? My life has been shut down for 13 years. And when I say shut down, see, you got to be careful. Just saying, well, you got to be in $6,000 whatever condos, and you got to. There's a difference between that. I mean, I get that. The fact that you got a conservatorship over you for whatever reason, that it doesn't matter what you get to do. It's that someone is allowing you to do that. Do you see what I mean? So that's the difference. So now look, the Instagram post with flipping the bird with the wedding ring on. Yeah. Is it mature? No.
She's 39 years old.
I was say it's not mature.
All I'm saying is slow down.
I know, but don't you think
she's gonna be pregnant in about 2 months?
But don't you think but people are telling her that, and what she's doing
she obviously hasn't had a really good, resourceful group of people around her that have been putting her in the right direction in the first place.
Well, that's the argument. Is part of the
whether it's her dad or mom or sister or anything else. I mean, she's like, I'm just if I'm a fan of Britney Spears, and I'm not, but I'm a human being, so I do care what happens to her. I just say, check it back, chill out. The first thing you want to do is get an engagement.
Well, yes, yeah.
Okay, that's you could have gotten engaged under your conservatorship.
No, we couldn't.
Sure,
no, I couldn't. No,
you give her. Yes,
no.
Yes. How do you know that?
Because it said in the conservatorship documents.
Did you read it?
Yeah, I saw the document. The document said that it had to be approved by the conservatorship. Any major life changes, and getting engaged is one of them. So, but to your point,
they were engaged. She knew they were engaged. Okay, you can't give me a ring, but we're together.
Right.
We're going to get married. That's engagement.
No,
That's engagement. You're not calling your dad going, hey, listen, I want to get
engaged.
Well,
that's right. And so now this is the FU. This is the impulsive FU.
I think there were some major things that perhaps she couldn't do, like get pregnant, or maybe she had to use an IUD, whatever. Maybe, yeah. As a conservatorship, if he was... And again, I don't know. I didn't read the documents. But she was pretty much doing everything she wanted to do. If she wanted to go get drunk off her ass and walk naked down Las Vegas Boulevard, she could do it. And she did it.
So what was the point of that? What did the conservatorship do?
It wasn't like there were people walking.
But you see, it goes the same thing. Listen,
these were big, major changes. And really, the major thing was the money.
Yeah, I was
the
just
money was everything. Well, now you've got access to everything you want.
Right.
It doesn't look like, to me, based on looking at her Instagram posts of the past, that she ever was told, you can't spend the night in this hotel or go do this in Las Vegas or go spend. She was going to Walmart 25 times a week. She had access to all the money she needed.
Well, for what you mean?
And seriously, she was spending over $150,000 a year just at Walmart. You know how hard it is to flip and spend $150,000? I go to Walmart every day of my life for the rest of my life.
What was she getting?
$150,000. I don't know.
Walmart's got everything.
So that's a little weird.
Walmart's got everything. You get a lot of TVs and stuff.
It's like trying to spend $150,000 at Kohl's. I mean, every time I go in the place, they're throwing more money at me. I'm like, dude, I walked in the other day and bought $600 worth of stuff and walked out with $900 in cash. I love that place.
No, you know what they tell you? They tell you how much you saved.
No, I actually walked into Kohl's the other day and walked out with more than I had when I walked in.
How? They didn't hand you cash.
I had Kohl's cash.
You had Kohl's cash.
No, it went back in my card. Because I got an account. I got like $300 worth of stuff, and when I walked out, I had $150 in my account, more than I had when I walked in. And it was free, and I walked out.
No, you're not.
Yeah, true.
You're so full of shit.
And it's called Tony Curry's Kohl's.
You're so
put my name on it.
Full of it.
I'm going to go shopping there next week just to be a millionaire. It's amazing. That place, I don't see how they make money. That and old.
Why are you going to be a sponsor of the Tony Curry Radio
Network? I'm just telling you. I just said yesterday.
You speak for every man.
Well, I speak for every person who cares about Britney Spears. Because when I was standing outside Birmingham court a couple of nights ago with my Free Britney sign, I was like, I care about you. I appreciate the topless pictures. Thank you. That's a nice little gift. But and so for her to get off Instagram right after the conservatorship stopped, and it said, I'll be back. It's all good. I need some privacy.
Okay, so
let's all of a sudden, this girl who can't stop posting her ass on Instagram now needs privacy.
No, but
something happened.
No, what I'm saying is it's consistent with everything else she's doing. Tell me if this will sit with you.
Maybe this is a way of stepping back.
No. This is what I'm saying. I think we're agreeing. I think we're actually agreeing. So what I'm saying is the same way that as soon as this thing came out, or it came down, she immediately publicly got engaged. Flipped the bird with, the thing. Okay. And we just said that's like an impulsive, what are you doing? Just check it a little bit. Yeah. So I think the Instagram thing could be absolutely the same thing. I'm going to go off to Instagram. I'm going to delete my account. I mean, again, if I make it absolutely psychiatric, maybe a little bit of mania going on, but I don't. It's impulsive. I think that's what I'm saying. It's I'm going to get engaged. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take control. I'm going to take down my account. Anyone can take down their account. Because, I mean, that's the interesting thing. Taking down your Instagram account, if you think about it and you're not Britney Spears, you could take down your account tomorrow, the next day, whatever.
Sure.
So some ways the getting engaged, the flipping the bird, the taking an account, it's this like F you, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. That's what I think. It's more that than there's some deep dark secret why she took down the account. I'll bet you it was just I'm gonna take it down.
Well, you said the word impulsive.
Yeah,
she's impulsive.
She is super impulsive. Which listen, impulse control. You pick the diagnosis. I mean, you can be manic or bipolar in a manic state, and that's a major impulsive kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But there are also individuals who have what's called executive functioning problems, and impulse control is a huge part of it. We see this in teenagers all the time. This is why 20-year-olds get into car accidents and have head injuries, because their ability to inhibit impulse is not great. Britney Spears, for all I know, part of her psychiatric condition could be, whether it's mania or not, is this major impulse control.
Impulsive activity can get you in trouble, and it can get you in trouble in life. And if you find yourself in trouble and you get to the point where you're one paycheck away from being homeless, and you finally at that point, you've hit rock bottom, the Jimmy Hall Mission is the place for you. For $5 a week, you can change the life of a woman, man, or a child. Go to our website. It's TonyCurryRadio.com, TonyCurryRadio.com, or KCastRadio.com. It'll link you back there. There's a donation button at the top. You can hit that donate button. We love them. They're official charity of the KCast Radio and the Tony Curry Radio Network. They're going to help you vocationally, physically, mentally, spiritually. They go to all those things. Michael Coleman is a good friend of mine. He runs the joint down there, and he does a wonderful work. They've got the expansion of the men's center. They do Jesse's Place. They do everything. If you really want to make yourself better and finally say, listen, I'm ready to pull my bootstraps up. I'm ready to get back in society. I'm ready to use the God gifts that he gave me for good. The Jimmy Hall Mission is the place to do that. They will change your life. It's one of the first places that I visited when I got here because I wanted to know how Birminghamians take care of their own. And they've been around for 76 years. They do wonderful work. JimmyHaleMission.org, JimmyHaleMission.org, or .net or .com. You can find it. They're one of our great sponsors. Talk about another one of our great sponsors. We'll play a couple of great classic rock tunes. We'll be back on Facebook Live, the Tony Curry page right here on the Tony Curry Radio Network.
Let me tell you about Vituro Health. Still men's prostate cancer awareness month, and prostate cancer is a very real thing. It's a slow-growing cancer. It's something that is very treatable, but guys, you have to know how to take care of yourself and your health and your prostate, and you need to know what your options are should you develop it. And that's where Vituro Health comes in. Vituro Health is doing two things. One, they're constantly developing new forms of treatment for prostate cancer, which is so important. We talked to Clete Walker last week. There are new forms of treatment where that can literally, the cancer can be treated in the doctor's office. So you've got to know what your options are. The other thing, they're educating guys, which is go get your prostate taken care of. Make sure you have the exam. Make sure you have the PSA. And if you've got questions, you can talk to Vituro Health by simply going to their webpage. There's a telephone number. You can contact them. It's VituroHealth.com. That's VituroHealth.com.
All right, thanks for watching. We'll be back in a few minutes here for more Facebook Live. Go to the KCast Radio app. It's KCast Radio app, Android or Apple, and you can listen to some Mr. Brownstone right now. Hopefully, Britney Spears is not doing any Mr. You know what Mr. Brownstone is, right? That's the booger sugar.
Yeah, that's the booger sugar.
So we'll continue to talk about some other stuff. I want to get into the Marlboro Man coming up here next.
Is he dead?
He died a couple years ago, but he was 90. And you know what? The Marlboro Man never smoked.
Yeah, no, I knew that.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
Well, his house and his real estate is still smoking. We'll talk about that in a few minutes.